Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators continue to have bullets left in the chamber in the 2024 class. Landing commitment from Jerrae Hawkins, a kid who's from West Virginia, transferring down to IMG Academy for his senior season. And we're going to take a look at his film and his highlights. This is a playmaker that I feel like the Florida Gators have just been desperately looking for. And low-key, like kind of some Kadarius Toney vibes to his game. Legitimately a human joystick. Runs a 10.4 500-meter dash. And you see the national rankings, and you see the height and weight. 5'9", 165 pounds. A little bit small. There's no doubt about that. But there's a reason he's a top 200 national prospect, according to 24/7 Sports, because his movement skills and his straight line speed is truly off the charts. Now, before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Florida Gators fans. We've been talking so much Florida football the last couple of weeks. Been one of the hottest teams on the trail. You guys have shown just so much love. So if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown. And let's get into Dre Hawkins. There's a couple things I want to note. One, IMG kid is going to be playing his senior year at IMG Academy. Florida continues to go after some of these kids from IMG Academy. So maybe you get him in that locker room, getting in the voices of getting in the ears of someone like Jaden Jackson or maybe even David Stone. You like that. But more importantly, I think since guys like Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts and some of those real playmakers on the offensive side of the ball have moved on to the NFL, that playmaker spot has been just a little bit of a sore spot, right? Xavier Henderson didn't really work out. Justin Shorter was a guy that every year I was excited for and never really seemed to work out either. Maybe the quarterback play is some of the answer to that, but I do think that from a playmaker standpoint for these wide receivers, I think Florida just left a little bit to be desired, and I think Billy Napier noticed that as well, because you take a look at the 2023 class and what he's doing in the 2024 class, guys like Andy Jean, Eugene Wilson, Aiden Mazzell going in the 2023 class. Now you add a guy like Jerrae Hawkins, Isaiah Williams, and then Amir Jackson, who is just a mega athlete, kind of jumbo slot tight end. Like, you take a look at the playmakers around the Florida Gators as it stands and what the future is going to look like. It's getting really exciting, and that's kind of what we've continued to talk about is the future for the Florida Gators. This season, there might be some growing pains because I think you're going to see a lot of young guys, a lot of first and second year guys get some serious burn. But come around 2024, 2025, when this young talent has matured, has gotten some experience, that's when I think Florida really takes off. Now, I do want to jump in to what Jerrae Hawkins brings to the table because, again, it's some next level stuff. And what's so exciting about Jerrae Hawkins is he can work vertically because of that 10.45 speed, like 100-meter dash times are of legit state champion level speed. So he works vertically down the field. He tracks the ball extremely well, too. Like, you see the nice hands, which is sometimes rare, right? Sometimes these guys who are just track athletes sometimes struggle to track the ball. Not a guy like Jerrae Hawkins. But what I think is a little bit more special is his movement when he gets the football in his hands. Like, you see the straight line speed, but being able to change direction, stop, start, get going really fast. I mean, he makes people miss with ease. His movement kind of reminds you a little bit of what Kadarius Toney brought to Florida, just like making people look silly. And then you see him on the defense side of the ball a little bit too, right? And what you're going to see, he's not going to play defense. He's a little small, and he's going to be a wide receiver for Florida. But I kind of like him getting some snaps on the defense side of the ball because he does have some of that, like, quote unquote, and I know this sounds kind of goofy, that dog in him. Like, you're going to see him come down from this safety spot and make a physical tackle. And this is a guy that's probably going to be working in the slot for the Florida Gators. You want those wide receivers to be tough, and you see just go up and fight for the ball here and be kind of a dog. Like, you kind of see that, which again, I love when those slot receivers have that toughness and have that quote unquote dog in them. Now, this is the last one we'll watch. This is special. Like, you're going to see him just take a little, like, they're just desperately trying to get him the ball. Freeze frame right here. I don't know how he doesn't get tackled, but we're going to keep the clip going. And he just makes these guys look foolish in the open space. And again, just some weird connections to what kind of Kadarius Toney and those movement skills, like that body's not supposed to move that way. Dre Hawkins certainly has that. And then he finishes the run off with some serious physicality as well. Again, just get it into his hands, let him go to work, shot out of the cannon. Like, this guy gets going so quickly. Let's take a look at this class for the Florida Gators. You're sitting at a top 4 class in the country. This isn't even added Jerrae Hawkins in yet, but you have your 5-star quarterback in DJ Lagway. And then what I really like what Florida's done is I think they've kind of identified the 2 sore spots for the Florida Gators, especially looking at last year, right? That front 7, specifically that defensive line, in terms of you had some talent there. Like Prince Gervon Dexter, like I thought those players were good, but the depth was never there. So when they had to start getting some more guys in, those guys just weren't ready. And then the second was that wide receiver position. And you land a guy like Jerrae Hawkins, and this front 7, the linebackers and the defensive lines, guys like Adarius Hayes, Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, phenomenal trio of linebackers. Jamonta Waller, top 100 national edge rusher. And then you look at Amarius Williams, Nasir Johnson. And then you go down the list and you got some big dogs like Mekhi Borio as well. They've kind of identified those 2 spots where I think Florida really just wasn't up to par. I thought they have some good running backs. You had a really good offensive line. I liked what they had in the secondary. The 2 sore spots for me, it was that wide receiver position and just in terms of just playmakers. Get some guys who are special, like those Kadarius Toney type guys, specifically speedsters, and then that defensive line. And they're adding talent and depth to both those positions. It's turning out to be just a phenomenal class for the Florida Gators. And then you take a look at, they're probably not done yet. And I want to talk about what this class could finish up like. And you obviously, no doubt the Florida Gators fans remember the June 16th visit weekend where you landed, I think it was 6 commits that weekend, right? Jamonta Waller, Aaron Childs, Amir Jackson. There are still some guys that I think Florida, like if you have any more bullets left in the chamber, and I think the Florida Gators certainly do, there's a couple of guys that I think will really round out this class and kind of get in that discussion of sitting top 3 class in the country in this 2024 class. And I want to go down to who they had on campus June 2nd. That was a massive visit weekend, and we've talked about the Jeremiah Smith flip. I kind of want to just put that to a side. If it happens, it happens, but I think we're just done talking about that. David Stone, IMG Academy kind of guy again. Probably not in the thick of things for Florida, but you've had him on campus a lot of times. He goes to school at IMG. But again, if you have some bullets left in the chamber, a guy like Jordan Ross, who you're kind of fighting Tennessee for, that would be a really good get. And then a guy like LJ McCray, that would round out this defensive line in a massive way, and they're making him a priority. It sounds like Florida's probably in the lead for that. And he's a guy that when I'm listening to like what the coaches and what some of the scouts think of him, he's probably finishing as a top 70 dude nationally in the country. Christopher Jones sounds like he's on his way to Georgia, but then a guy like Ethan Callaway, who you're battling LSU for, one of the better tackles in the class, and even going down to a guy like Jaden Jackson, another IMG kid, Kendall Jackson. There's still a lot of guys that the Florida Gators have continued to get traction with, and especially at those positions that you're a little concerned about. And one of the other things to note is if the Florida Gators start playing a little bit better football in 2023, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, like if some of those young freshmen, Andy Jean, Aiden Mazzell, Eugene Wilson, get it going, I think you could see some wide receivers like TJ Moore, who's currently committed to Clemson, take a look at this Florida Gators offense and say, all right, like the Florida Gators offense is kind of back, and I could see myself being successful in that offense. As it sits right now, maybe not the most appealing offense for wide receivers to go to, but you have DJ Lagway in the fold. If you can put on paper, not on paper, but on the field, I should say, this offense being dynamic, being explosive, that's when it gets really fun for the Florida Gators and maybe really finish with a strong 2024 class. Again, wanted to keep this one short, but the Gators land another massive commitment in Jerrae Hawkins. Appreciate you guys checking us out. Again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you rocking with the boys, and we'll talk to y'all later.